Here's a question for you. Do you really need a degree to be successful? Or is that just what we've been told? Because in 2018, a 19-year-old kid from a college hostel room decided he wasn't going to wait for graduation day. And within just a few years, his idea turned into a $3 billion empire. This is the story of Shashvat Nakrani, the teenager who beat the banks. Most of us, at 19, are thinking about exams, internships, or maybe what Netflix series to binge next. Shashvat, he was busy creating a fintech revolution. Today, he's known as one of the youngest self-made billionaires from India. But back then, he was just another student with no money, no network, and no credibility. So how do you go from being a broke teenager to competing with Google Pay and PayTm? Let's rewind. The year was 2018. India was rapidly moving towards digital payments. People were scanning QR codes, using wallets, and ditching cash. Sounds great, right? But here's the catch. Merchants, the small shopkeepers and vendors, were paying heavy transaction fees on every payment. Imagine this. You sell tea for 10 Indian rupees, that's like 12 cents, and a chunk of it disappears as fees every single time someone pays digitally. For big businesses, maybe it's fine. For small shopkeepers, it was eating into survival. Now, here's where most people stop. They complain, they adapt, they accept. Shashvat saw this as a problem worth solving. But think about it. Who's going to take a teenager seriously when he says he wants to fix an entire country's payment system? That was his challenge. No degree, no funding, no credibility, and zero experience. Basically, everything you'd say you need to succeed, he didn't have. So what did he do? Instead of waiting, he built. At just 19, Shashvat co-founded BharatPe. The concept was simple, but revolutionary. A single QR code that allowed merchants to accept payments directly into their bank account with zero fees. No middlemen, no commission cuts, just instant transactions.
Received on BharatPe.
Now, this might sound obvious today, but in 2018, it was radical. Even big players like PayTm were charging fees. BharatPe turned the game upside down. Of course, it wasn't smooth sailing. Investors weren't exactly lining up to throw money at a teenager. Some called it unrealistic. Others said, the market already has too many players. You'll be crushed. And remember, this wasn't Silicon Valley where young founders are worshipped. This was India, where age, degrees, and credibility matter. A 19-year-old dropout building fintech? It sounded insane. But here's the thing about innovation. The best ideas often sound crazy until they work. The turning point came when small shopkeepers started adopting BharatPe's QR codes in massive numbers. It started with one chai seller, then 10, then hundreds. Soon, BharatPe QR stickers were everywhere, from tiny roadside vendors to big stores. Why? Because for the first time, digital payments weren't eating into their profits. That one shift changed everything. Within months, BharatPe exploded. By 2021, the company was valued at over $3 billion, and Shashvat Nakrani was officially one of the youngest billionaires in India at just 23. Think about that. While most of his peers were stressing over job interviews, Shashvat was competing with Google, PhonePe, and PayTm, and winning. Now, let's pause for a second. Why did this work? It wasn't just about technology. It was about empathy. Shashvat understood the struggles of small merchants better than the giant corporations did. And this is a pattern you'll notice with young entrepreneurs. They don't carry the weight of, this is how it's always been done. They look at the world with fresh eyes and ask, why not? In fact, studies show that nearly 50% of billion-dollar startups were founded by people under 30. Youth isn't a weakness, it's an advantage. You're not bound by old rules. So, What can we learn from Shashvat Nakrani's story? You don't need a degree to build something meaningful. Age is just a number. The market doesn't care if you're 19 or 90. The biggest opportunities aren't hidden in textbooks. They're hiding in everyday problems. Shashvat wasn't a genius coder. He wasn't a Wall Street banker. He was just a student who spotted a pain point and had the courage to solve it. Now I want to throw this back to you. If you had to start a business today, what's the one problem you'd solve? Drop it in the comments. I'll personally reply with real ideas you can explore.